All right, hello and welcome back to the Steins episodic review. We are now on episode 16. And I knew I was going to forget about it right when we got going. But, okay, yeah. The one thing I wanted to discuss that I forgot to mention was one thing I thought that Steins pulled off rather well, the wool over our eyes with, and that was John Titor's voice. It was very much a dude, a guy delivering the narrative of John Titor. That threw everyone completely off the case, thinking it would be a dude. Sounds like a dude. John is a dude name. So it's a very, very smart, deceptive thing with the writing and the presentation with the show. I very much appreciate that. But anyhow, we got the John Titor stuff, the John Titor reveal, and now we're looking for the father. It's like a Jerry Springer episode. Who is the father? And then we left off with a lead. We got a lead now. So Okabe meets up with the street vendor, who is the lead, and describes the man who was looking for the similar pin. Describes the man being like a barrel. As a barrel. Round. Mayuri says she learned Taru means barrel. And the group kind of is left with the lead kind of going nowhere. As the man had gone off without placing some kind of order in that he would return. And Okabe ponders to get around this, to use the time leap machine tomorrow to catch the man at the street vendor. He'll get the jump on him rather than spending his time elsewhere. He'll identify the father. And Okabe does time leap back and looks for Suzuha's father and finds, looking around the corner, spots him out at the vendor and finds who? Daru. Daru is at the street vendor. And then we get some dialogue. He wanted to make a copy of the pin. He's explaining himself here. He wanted him to make a copy of the pin to fake being Suzuha's father, just to make her feel better. Very nice of Daru, very kind of Daru. Daru and Okabe, man, oh man. Them and Mayuri, really not showing any selfishness within the show. Just an observation. They don't use time travel for themselves or anything like that. Very interesting. Okabe disagrees with him on whether or not to locate her real father. So they take two different stances. Okabe, I guess, is either for it or against it. I forget which here, but considering he just tried to figure it out, but maybe he had a change of heart. He doesn't want her feelings to get bashed, depending on who it is or anything like that. Anyhow, let's move on. I only got my notes, so that's all we can go by. Daru informs Okabe that the time machine of Suzuha's is only one way. Whoa. So once Suzuha travels back to 1975, she is gone for good. She can't return. She's gone. And they must have talked about that when they were working on the time machine. Spending time together a bit. And Daru is to finish the repairs by tomorrow. And then we got a Daru hentai moment. Mayuri takes notice of the connection between Daru and Suzuha. Yet again, Suzuha talks to Okabe, and that this might be her only chance to say whatever she wants here, and she's just beyond thankful of their friendship and her time traveling to this time, and all the garbage she's seen and went through, and how she was, striking up real friendships, real bonds with all of them, and how much that meant and is appreciated to her, human to human type of a deal, considering her time frame in the future was heading towards the dystopia type of a deal. Okabe knows she'll be gone for good this time around, rather than before when she said that, before he time looped back. He promises her that he'll save the world. I think it's Sakaiwa. That he'll save the world. Or something like that, anyhow. He asks her about regret. If she has any regret or will have any regret or anything like that. And she picks up that Daru had spilled the beans to him that she'll be gone for good, because he's prodding kind of specific here. And Okabe just is worried for her life as well. All the lab mems he is protective of, and really, really cares about these other folks. So that's very good. Very good. Okabe, selfless in this show. Selfless. Then we get 2010, 8/13 at 15:07. Daru boots up the time machine. Seems to be working fine now. Good. They fixed it up. Now everything can get fixed. Suzuha ponders with Daru of when specifically to arrive in 1975. Mayuri takes notice yet again, trying to observe this and that. In particular, she zones in on that the time machine says FG204 on it. And she asks Suzuha about it. It's the time machine's name that her father came up with. And Okabe and Makise bring Suzuha's bike up to the time machine so that she can take it with her. It's kind of her treasure, and she will certainly treasure it. Mayuri figured out at this point who the father is. Kind of amusing, considering she's like the blonde stereotype of the show. And at least they threw a bone with the writing here. Mayuri is the one who figured it out. And she says he is around them right now. Suzuha's father. And then she just points it out. Her conclusion that Suzuha's father, and this spurred up plenty of speculation. You could have guessed all across the board. The popular guess would have been Okabe. I'm pretty sure a lot of people speculated that. I'm not sure where my mind frame went at that point, but anyhow. Mayuri states that Suzuha's father is Daru. Indeed, Daru. So the false indication, and then we get a positive indication here. So obviously, if they teased it being Daru and then kind of cut the cord, then you would ponder elsewise, but that was short-lived kind of here. So nonetheless, Mayuri gives her explanation of how she deduced all this. Taru means barrel, and Daru's name is Itaru. Then the resistance was founded by Okabe and Barrel Tighter, with the only other man besides Okabe knowing the time travel stuff in 2010 in Akihabara is none other than Daru. Then lastly, she points out the time machine's name, FG204, which to her means Future Gadget, referencing Future Gadget Lab, FG Future Gadget. Then the latter part of its name is similar to his antics of naming stuff. It's his unique signature, kind of, in a way. Second edition, version 2.1 or 2.31. So it's Daru's style of naming gadgets from their lab. And they always have bonkers different versions type stuff. And everyone's seemingly convinced. Suzuha realizes here, and it's a very, very interesting moment. She has found her father. And how the heck did Daru birth that? Oh. Or, begat. Not him birthing her, but you know what I meant. How did he have that? Goodness, it must have been the mother's genes. Anyhow, Suzuha just, it goes all heartwarming moment, her realizing Daru is her father. He's standing right there in front of her. And she's been looking for him. And now she knows who he is, what he looks like, everything. And then we get a Daru hentai moment. Of course, he makes some sort of weird comment. Ay, ay, ay. Suzuha reveals she came back to this time to find him as he willed in his machine, and will finish his work for him in saving the world. So he wanted her to come back and find him? Really? Maybe that's a botch in my notes, I don't know, but we'll just take it. And they hug it out. Very interesting moment. Then we get more Daru hentai moment. And he has to ask, who wouldn't ask? Daru asks if his wife was, or is hot in the future. And that's tricky territory, because if she spills too many beans, that could throw things off for the future, actually. So Suzuha keeps his wife a secret, the details. So probably best that way. A lot of points throughout this review I'm pondering Steins Gate 0. But anyhow, Suzuha emails Okabe her thanks, and she takes off in the time travel machine. So Suzuha time travels to 1975 in a working, repaired time machine. It disappears. Her and her bike and the machine, and now they're just got an empty spot in the building now. So, and news picks up that the satellite that had crashed has disappeared. Makise realizes the initials. Here we're getting more and more revelation. Everything is just unwinding. Everything's being figured out. All the great stuff they had for down the line is being revealed. Makise reveals the initials on the pin happens to be their initials, according to her. That's what she deduces. O is for Okabe, H is for Hashida, S is for Shina, M is for Makise, and A is for Amane. So, Okabe wonders why the divergence meter number did not change so far since Suzuha time traveled back to 1975. Daru calculates that Suzuha after time traveling back, would now, in the present, be 54 years old. Daru is 24. This stuff is just mind-boggling, but he thinks of being younger than his own daughter now. And Makise adds he may even have grandchildren, and may be able to meet his grandkids. Bonkers. He's under half the age of his own daughter here, with all their calculations. And they get, all of a sudden, they're just waiting, and all of a sudden they get a door knock at the lab. The group rushes to the door to meet Suzuha. Who do they get? It's Mr. Braun from downstairs, the TV shop owner, who delivers a message to Okabe from Suzuha. He explains to them it was from a woman who did him a favor a long time ago, and she wanted it delivered to him on this very specific day. Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. So she goes back in time, all this stuff happens, and then we're already back to the present. Well, we never kind of left the present, but everything happened with Suzuha, and things changed, but yet the meter didn't change. So, pretty bonkers stuff. But the letter to him for this specific day, that's quite a task, and that must have been quite a favor. How long was that in shipping and handling? Good grief. Okabe gets straight to the point with Mr. Braun. Okabe asks, where is she now? He tells them, flat out, after a little hesitation, I think. He tells them, Suzuha is dead and had died off 10 years ago. The letter is from 2000, the year 2000, 10 years before she left. So that letter had a 10-year delay for him. They open the envelope, and Suzuha writes that she failed her mission. I think it's Speista or something like that. Watashi wa Speista. Suzuha writes that she failed her mission. Oh my good gosh, their only chance. She failed. She tells of how she lost her memories in the time travel machine. That time travel back to 1975 ruined her memories. It messed with her memory, and only remembered her task once it had gotten to 1999, and she was just in complete dread that she wasted her life, their only shot. Very depressing. The whole world at stake, and she fails. Her memories were boggled. Supposedly, a part of the time machine was still broke, and doesn't want Daru blamed, of course. Suzuha blames herself here. She blames herself. And she wishes, she has regret. Who don't? She regrets of coming to their time period, and she blames herself for it and wishes she would have just went from 2036 to 1975 instead of trying to meet her father in 2010. She risked everything and feels selfish. And think about it, the whole world at stake. She wants to make a pit stop to figure out the stuff with her father. boy, is that a gamble. It is. It is. And that's a bit of selfishness there. So many characters have it with the time travel stuff. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? And now, because of her and where they're at now, the future is doomed. Thanks to her, things are heading to a dystopia yet again. And she never saw an IBN 5100, and she apologizes. And just again and again, just endlessly writing that she failed. It's all emotional and really dramatic and depressing. She forgot her mission and lived an easy life with the fate of the world at stake. And she remembered once it was too late. So, she gets into some more detail. She reveals that because of Okabe stopping her that one night when she was going to leave, I think I talked about this before, maybe I was jumping the gun on it, but the night he stopped her to stay, the time machine became damaged due to the storm weather. She wills him to go back if he can to reverse him stopping her from leaving. So it needs to go back to the first route that she did go back. So he needs to stop himself from stopping her, if at all possible. Fate of the world at stake yet again. Good grief. And that's really the most heavy it can get in a show. Kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day. Probably most prominently that, whatever you want to call it, season 2 or whatever. Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Merrick. Oh, man. That back in the day. Horrible target audience now, though. Totally cringy, but the card game and all that, gold. But anyhow, so she's instructing him on their only chance yet again here. If at all possible, he must go back and reverse himself, stopping her from leaving. Otherwise, her life was wasted. And it was in this case. So depressing. Oh, man. Really dark, depressing, moody. Really good on the presentation. Okabe digs a little deeper. Okabe asks Mr. Braun how Suzuha died off. This is a tough one. He reveals that she did the job. Oh, man. And that for a year she was mental and had medication for it. And I don't know about some of the visuals there. I don't know. I think one might allude and show it a little bit, the shadow or something. So that's quite dark. I'm not sure, but I think that might be the case. I can't remember. And I was kind of curious about that scene every time I go through it. But yeah, I think it was off-screen indication. So, and that's another debate type thing is, I forgot to mention with what they did with Mayuri. I don't know. On screen, off screen. It's probably best that they did that how they presented it. If they would have showed, I think it would have taken away from it, because it allows us to do the imagining ourselves. So, and who knows what that would do to the rating of the show. It's not like it could get much higher, but nonetheless. But that's a good debate. If should they have shown this or that, or shouldn't they have, with Mayuri, and what Moaka did. So, but anyhow, I think they went about it the right way, and I think if it's the case here with Suzuha having done the job herself, I think it's best they allude to it off screen rather than on screen. So I think they did two good jobs here. One with Suzuha and one with Mayuri back a number of episodes. Okabe then blames himself for all this garbage, for preventing her from leaving, which would have made her successful in her mission. My goodness. So he actually stopped the success by caring about her and wanting her to find her father. So we're just getting in this loop, and now we need to find a way out of it. Makise wills to talk. Mayuri wills he not send a D-mail, for nobody will remember what happened. Okabe, all the weight of the world on his shoulders, and everything is done from his perspective so well. It really puts you in his shoes. For Mayuri and Suzuha, for their sake, he has no choice but to go against all of them in that moment and send a D-mail back. So everything gets erased yet again, and the divergence meter switches to 0.409431. Okabe talks to Suzuha, or talks of Suzuha to Mr. Braun, and this time he reveals she passed away 10 years ago. And that's quite a difference. Okabe realizes that, and he continues. She got sick and died off. And he had lived with her, and he kept her bicycle. They were neighbors first. Some house burnt down, so her house, apparently, so she let him live with her. So, and she never married. He gives Okabe the divergence meter, not knowing what it is. So, how many times has he gotten this sucker? And says that Suzuha stared at it and wondered of her purpose. Okabe noticed the number changed upwards, but 1% is still the aim to reach. It's not there. Quite a ways off yet. Okabe notices there is no bomb threat. And he finds Mayuri sleeping and Daru safe at the lab. Okabe ponders in sheer hope if he and Suzuha have managed to change the world enough now so that Mayuri can live on, free from the inevitable attacks from CERN. And that is where we end off, into the unknown. Is Mayuri safe? Is she still not safe? We have to get to the next episode to find out. So, anyhow, that's the episode. That is the episode. So, good stuff. I don't know my favorite moment. Probably all the stuff with Suzuha. I don't think I teared up too many times to it. But I think one time I did. I got into it. and really felt for her and teared up at, you know, the whole deal there. Watashi wa shippaishita, watashi wa shippaishita, watashi wa shippaishita, and just endlessly, and just her just dragging herself through the mud, you know. Her blaming herself, Okabe blaming himself. Everything is so tense and weighty. Fate of the world at stake. It doesn't get any better than that with an anime. Jeez. So anyhow, let me know your favorite moment of the episode, and we'll have to get to 17. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more. I will see you up ahead as always. Take her cool.